You're listening to Tripod, the Tricycle creative podcast, created to help entrepreneurs be better marketers. Each episode features news, tips, interviews, and commentary from the worlds of marketing, media, and, well, miscellaneous. Now, here are your co-hosts, Ross Erosion and Chris Slezak.
It is Tripod. I am Ross, and I am joined, as always, by Chris.
Hello.
Hello. So we are now on technically episode 3. So I want to encourage everyone out there in listener land, if you are listening to this on our website or you're listening to this and haven't subscribed yet, please be sure to subscribe on whatever client you are using. At the time of this recording, we are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify. We have our own feeds on the website, tricycle-creative/tripod. And we've submitted to Google and to Stitcher. So I anticipate that probably by the time you listen to this, we will be on those platforms also. So many platforms, Chris.
I plan on walking around with a boombox, just standing on a street corner, playing it for whoever might pass by.
The old school method, if you will.
That's right.
I legitimately remember, because I'm a tinkerer at heart. I'm not going to be arrogant and say I'm an innovator, but I'm an innovator. And I remember when podcasts first came out, I was tinkering with them, and the boombox method was probably one of the better methods to get your podcast out there. It was very much involved. And then there was a while they had, and I messed with this, interactive podcasts. Do you remember this at all?
I don't think I ever did any interactive.
I have a feeling they're going to like rear their head again. I don't see a reason why they haven't, but maybe because they really figured out that listening to podcasts is a passive activity. But yeah, it was a thing where you could have like what's on screen correspond with what's playing in the podcast, i.e. a video. But it was pretty cool, but it was crazy involved to do it. Much simpler now. So I guess you could just call it interactive podcast now, a video. So yeah, amazing stuff.
When did you start listening to podcasts? I am a little curious.
Oh my God. Here's the thing. I don't think it was around when I started listening. I think it was around when I started making them. And I think it was right when I left college, because for like a year, I was still doing a punk rock radio show and sending it in each week to them. I don't think they ever got played. But I was still doing it, and I think that's when I started tinkering with the idea of a podcast for that. And then I gave it up, and then I picked back up another podcast, which I won't name here because it's probably floating around somewhere out there, with some old colleagues from XM Radio. And that was a blast. And then I stopped. And then I started listening more in the past even 2 years. Podcasts, as I may or may not have to tell you, are huge now. They're a big deal. That's why
which is funny to me, because I mean, I've been listening to podcasts since like 2008, I think. And
excuse me.
Yeah, I remember for the longest time feeling like the only person I really knew that was into them.
I can't remember.
So it's weird to think about listening to some of these shows for more than a decade now,
That's I mean, I have to think that some of the real, the landmark shows like Radio Lab has got probably one of the early ones, one of the early adopters there.
This American Life, maybe.
This American Life. Tripod, the Tricycle Creative Podcast. These are all ones that we want to put in a time capsule and save for the future generations. When they're like, what is Facebook, Mom? And they'll say, at one time it was an innocent social media platform, but now it's an autonomous Skynet division that hunts us down as humans.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
It's odd that you would look forward to that, but you
Well,
are a unique and strange cat. So,
I'm prepared for survival, both in
are
the
you?
analog and digital world. Yeah.
Not sure if you are. I'm your
Yeah.
friend. I know you. I don't know if you're prepared. I'm going to be honest with you. Your wife, maybe. You, not so much so.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. All right. So, Tripod, as we have discussed before, we talk about news in topics and discuss them, question them, have some commentary, things from the world of marketing, media, and miscellaneous. That's Chris's category. Oh, and we have a bonus this week also, so I'm looking forward to that. So let's start with media this week. We'll mix it up. So this week's media story comes from the world of Instagram. So I saw online that there's in the rumor mill that Instagram might be testing a co-watching feature for videos. Which the idea here would be this would probably be to help push IGTV. Do you know what IGTV is, Chris?
Vaguely. I mean, I know
Tell
it
me your
exists.
vagaries.
I've seen it, and I think I've never used it.
That's pretty accurate. You're about like
Yeah.
everyone else. So IGTV is Instagram's long form platform. Now, here's what's very interesting about it, though. It is vertical, which for video producers like and video marketers like Tricycle Creative is on the one hand neat, on the other hand, freaking nightmare. But I love that aspect of marketing, understanding like the different formats and audiences and content. But I digress. So IGTV is long form content on Instagram, and more often than not, it is actually I think it has to be in the vertical video setup. So the idea here is that you could watch a video on IGTV with a friend or groups of friends. I believe this was discovered, as it normally is on the internet, by people who like look at code, update code and stuff like that. Smart
Nerds.
people like, no,
Nerds.
I see this JavaScript code says that there's a video that I don't know. Again, why do you let me be so mean to people who are smarter and richer than me? You need to in the
I'm
zero
supposed to rein you
preparation
in.
in the zero preparation we do for this show. I need you to really be better. All right.
I will.
This
be
is an
more
on-air
vigilant.
critique. All right. What are your goals for the next quarter, Chris? We're going to do your on-air job performance. No, we're going to not do that. Okay. So I thought this was interesting and worth talking about because something like this is also available on Facebook. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
So Facebook has rolled out in the past, maybe this year, you can watch a video with Facebook friends, but it's limited to groups. So if you're in a group on Facebook, you can do like a watch together. And when you like share a video or play a video, it alerts the group, and then people can chat and interact and all kinds of stuff. So it's a group communal experience.
So when you're like, hey, watch this video of this guy falling on his face and smashing an egg with his head, we can all watch that and laugh at that at the same time. We're all typing lol and raffle at the same time.
Laughing face with tears. Yeah, right. That's what we're doing, you and I right now. So that was very meta. That's very Inception of you, that's what we're doing right now, and we're doing the podcast. So yes, you can. We downplay it again like we're better, but nonetheless, that's a feature that's available on Facebook. But I'm intrigued by this and intrigued by the possibilities of this because this starts to turn and open up options for, I think, people like yourself. You're in a band, for musicians, you know, people to watch a concert together, opportunities where you're doing an event and you know, you want to obviously have an online, you know, activation, if you
So,
will.
okay, but how does this differ then from Facebook Live?
Well, I think that's the thing is with the groups, I think it's more about the person who's hosting that particular thing is in control of said video, right? So obviously this could probably get sticky when it comes to copyright, but let's say I'm in a Marvel fanboys group on Facebook. I'm not. I could be, but I'm not. But let's say I am.
Yeah, I can't believe you aren't.
No, let's say I am. I come on, Reddit. I do it on Reddit. Anyways, let's say I am. And I want to play Avengers Age of Ultron, arguably one of the worst Avengers movies. But anyways, I want to play it. I would play it and I could control like the play and the pause and what videos are like skip around, do maybe play another different video versus watching a live stream is coming in from an external source. So this might somehow hybridize that, you know? I don't know what that looks like, but I mean, it's an interesting concept to bring more live programming to people's devices, particularly like TV.
Yeah. Do you think this is Facebook's attempt at like, you know, taking on Stitch? What am I saying?
Totally. Yes.
Twitch.
Yes. Whichever one it is the answer. Twitch. Twitch is what you're thinking. Twitch is what you... Lilo and Stitch? Yes,
could not remember.
To take on Lilo and Stitch. No.
I sound like such an old man, right?
The kids and
that Twitch thing or whatever.
Yes, absolutely. Particularly on Instagram, because Instagram skews so much younger than Facebook, right?
Right.
Absolutely. And I think that is also on the Facebook platform, though, because they're big investors in their own VR, but also I think they're big. They're in with like Oculus Rift. I have not been interested in any of the VR, AR stuff, but the one thing that keeps getting me or was getting me for a while was the commercials of like sitting courtside. Did you see those? Just like the idea that like you can sit courtside wearing the headset, you know, with a buddy.
Can I tell you the first thing I thought of was the Cohen trial and not a basketball game. When you said courtside, I thought like, oh, you're like in the courtroom.
No. I meant Judge Judy. I want to sit in the room with Judge Judy. Yes. The sports with round ball.
Yeah.
Round ball. You throw it, you hit it, you dunk it, whatever you want to do with it. Yes. Wow, you're such a cerebral. I had no idea.
Yeah,
you were thinking
I'm too much of an intellectual.
You want to be courtside with Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
That's right.
You want to be sitting there just shooting the S with old Ruth. I mean, if given that or the choice to sit courtside at like a Lakers game, I probably would go with hanging out with Ruth. Truth be told. I mean, you may, or with Judge Judy. Judge Judy is kind of my lady. So
you know what though? I mean, I don't mean to go down a path here, but it would be pretty cool to have a VR headset where you are like in a football game. You know, you're
in it, or you're like, in stands.
You're in it. Like there's a camera mounted on the center's helmet, and you are like watching everybody coming at you. I
mean, how far away, honestly, do you think we are from that though? I mean, think about how tiny cameras can get. And I think people are kind of like poking fun at the new AFL, but they're doing like some really cool technological stuff. Like they have chips on every player. So they get like these really advanced stats from them.
Oh, like just
real time. The NFL is going to steal that next. I mean, that they're going to take that.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I have to think we are probably, assuming that the NFL doesn't fold from, you know, player lawsuits and head injury stuff in the next, 3 years, which I don't think it will. I mean, you have to think that something like that is coming within the next 5 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, maybe not so much as the main experience, but as a second screen experience.
Well, and to tie this all back to Facebook, I could see watching a game, like I'm a Green Bay Packers fan with the rest of my family. We're all scattered throughout the nation.
That's cool. I like that. Yeah.
We could watch Facebook, watch these video. Maybe it's just a whole Green Bay Packers group. The game is played live on Facebook, and we're all rooting together, on Facebook.
So let me ask you this then. Would you pay for something like that?
Hell no.
Therein lies the challenge for Facebook, and I guess for anyone else. The good news, though, if you are a small business entrepreneur and you're having a launch or an event or a part of an event, this is something to think about. Live video is super cool. I'm not going to lie. It's not super cheap to do it like right. But there's a lot of room between not doing it and doing it like full on, right?
Right.
And I think it comes down to planning too, just like anything else. Like what's the scope of the project? What are some of the things you want to do? Maybe there's a small little live activation that you'd want to do as part of the event to kind of bring people into it. Live video is a tremendous tool, and I think a tool that a lot of people don't necessarily wield, but it really drives engagement a lot.
Yeah, I feel like for me personally, my phone is not my TV, and until it's easier for me to just, throw whatever I'm watching on my phone up onto my TV for a live video. Because if I'm going to settle in for the long haul on watching a video, I don't want to, get a hand cramp holding my phone up to my face.
Yep, you're right. You're right. So we'll design a device where we can strap your phone directly to your face.
Perfect.
Win-win. Now we move on to our marketing topic, but before we do, we took a little sip of some water here. I wanted you to share that saying that you shared with me before we started the podcast. About the head.
I believe I said the head is an instrument that has many holes.
Wow.
I don't know what I meant by it.
Was that who said that? Beethoven originally?
Frank Zappa, I think.
Oh, that makes sense, actually. Makes a lot of sense. So our marketing topic is kind of in the spirit of what I have called smart giving. So on tricycle-creative.com, I've done a couple blog posts about smart giving being the idea that you can align your product, service, company, business with charitable events, actions, things like that, and still derive marketing and promotional value about it. It's not necessarily a dirty thing. You can be strategic and not be completely selfish about it. But this particular story is from Gillette, and what they are doing is inviting and launching this new program where anyone in the US, it seems like they're probably starting there, can send in old razors, blades, and even packaging, because some of their packaging is pretty intense, from any brand for recycling.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And from any brand, it was going to be my first question. So yeah, asked and answered. I like that.
I think this is big also in their disposable razor thing too. This seems to be, but obviously this applies to their just their razor heads, I guess it would be, like, that kind of thing. So what they're doing is they're partnering up with it's unfortunately, if you're not part of the Gillette subscription service, people can sign up through this company called Tricycle. And I read up on them. So they're known for recycling hard to recycle materials. So you'd sign up through this. When you're ready to send them something, you download a shipping label and send it. So then they sterilize it, shred it, and recycle it into things they list: bike racks, park benches, pet food bowls. I mean, I have to assume there's more than that, but those are three things, such as this list includes, but is not limited to, bike racks, park benches, pet food bowls.
Okay.
And so this is a Procter and Gamble thing too, right? So I think Procter and Gamble's rolling out some a new bigger thing, which they're calling Loop, which will extend into like deodorant and mouthwash and ice cream cartons, about like really pushing recyclable but also reusable. So can you think of, I mean, are there any kind of brands or companies that you are like well aware of a charitable cause that they align with or work with?
I mean, the
I'm
first thing that
totally
jumped
putting
to
you on the
mind,
spot.
yeah, I mean, Tom's Shoes was the first thing that jumped to my mind.
Oh yeah, that's a great, totally. I mean, that's like in their, that is, Tom's is a great example because it's like their DNA.
Right.
I mean, it's like what started them, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Or
Which
it's
here in
part of
Austin,
their
for some
ethos.
reason, they have a coffee shop as well, and that I've never understood. But yeah, I mean, I like what they do. You buy a pair of shoes, they donate a pair of shoes. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, you know,
And it's
that
simple,
simple.
right? It's not
Yeah.
like you buy a pair of shoes, but then what we do is we take 1/5 of a shoe and we take, it's like, whoa,
Right.
like it's simple so that the consumer very specifically understands kind of, you know, the benefit, you know. No, Tom's is a great example. I'm trying to think of some other ones. But this is something where if you know, while I do that, this is something where if you're a small business or an entrepreneur and you know you have a passion around a particular topic, this is where it's okay to figure out some angle to get involved, even if it's as simple as, you know, so I'm a cancer survivor. I've done Light the Night, the leukemia walk several times. You know, that's something where it's as simple as just, you know, participating. You don't have to own, right? If you can get to
Right.
a place where you can evolve, where you can grow and own like your own kind of event, you know, I think that's super cool. But I just love this component. You know, and if you're not sure, this could also be a thing where you could survey, um, you know, your employees or even your customers. Are you alive?
I am.
I want to keep that in there, just so you know.
I thought you had more. I was
Yeah,
waiting.
no, I didn't have more. That was it. I'm just saying that you can crowdsource this with your employees and with your customers and see what kind of components are interesting to them. So one client, actually that Tricycle has right now, they're opening a new facility, and we're actually going through this very same conversation to find and talk about a charitable organization that we can align with for the opening. And the idea there too is you kind of maximize your reach, particularly if it's around an event, you know, because they're going to send it out to their mailing list. You send it out to the people you know, and it really just helps amplify, you know, the potential reach and attendance and awareness of
Now,
the brand.
let's say though I'm a small business and I don't have a lot of extra dough. I mean, you know, is it, you know, what do you think the is there like a limit to, you know, what's the smallest amount I could get away with and still not feel like I'm just shoehorning in this you know, this charity thing?
Sure. I think so one thing you could do is just simply volunteer, right? I mean, I think there's
Sure.
something to be said if you're an organization and you want to rally up. So when I was essentially director of marketing in a prior role, we'd find I would identify a couple charities throughout the year, rally up a group of employees that wanted to go volunteer. We would go volunteer, just have an awesome day, just being out of the office and volunteering somewhere together and getting to know people outside of the office. You know, and then writing up and talking about the experience, or better yet, you know, interviewing one of those people or all those people who go along and making that a blog post, right? Sharing some photos, you know, inside the blog post on your socials, you know.
So networking through charity, but also you're meeting like-minded people. You know, you're all passionate about the same causes.
I think inevitably what happens is you go anywhere and people always ask, like, oh, what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not looking at no point did I tell people, hey, bring some pamphlets along,
Right. We're all making
we're not
making t-shirts and brochures. Yeah.
We're not going to the soup kitchen and handing out brochures for, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's not the angle that we're going for.
You're not
here.
giving it. Yeah. It's not, you don't have branded spoons at the soup kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. So
unless you're a spoon company and you donate the spoon.
Hey, and that's fine. I think it's just about that it can be as big or as small as you like. And you know what? Even I don't know. I think maybe this even just goes into being more of a small business owner, right? Just the fact of kind of getting again people out and being a part of the community, that has a lot of value to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be about immediate, like benefit. And I think as an owner, like that's something that is beneficial. The marketing piece of it, if it's structured and thought out, but is really secondary, that's okay.
Yeah. And I mean, the community aspect and actually getting out and meeting people, I think carries a lot of weight now because everything online feels, if not fake, at least makes you feel skeptical. You're always hesitant these days to sort of believe like, well, where, how do they, sure, they're putting that out there, but how do I know that that's really what's happening? And yeah, if you get out in the community and actually meet these other people, then sure, it'll make your business, a lot more personal to these people and give you a personal connection. That's invaluable.
And I really don't like to generalize. I guess part of marketing when it comes to demographics and things like that is, but when it comes to kind of the younger or new workforce, community engagement it ranks really high for them. And so if you're a place or a company or a business that's employing a lot of, I'll say the word, but the millennials, I think it's just something to think about that is typically very high on their kind of like company wish list, is a company that has probably, for lack of a better word, like a soul to it, you know?
Yeah.
That really resonates with them. So it's just something to think about. If that is, a workforce, or an age demo that you either interact with a lot as a customer, or you have as actual employees or even contractors or work for you in any capacity, really. Now we get to the ever popular, ever in demand, ever worrisome miscellaneous topic where I hand over the handlebars of this crazy podcast to you, to find out what the hell is on your mind.
Oh, I'm a loose cannon and a wild card all rolled into one. So as we've been
the boringest guy ever. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. I take it back.
Can't you tell from the tone of my voice that
I'm a hip dude?
Yeah. So as we've been, starting this podcast adventure, and I've been telling people about it and spreading the word and letting them know, what it is we're doing. I've had people that have also then in turn asked me what, questions that I'm not equipped to answer. However, you are fully equipped to answer.
Ooh.
And if you, fellow listener, have a question, you can always reach out to us on basically any platform at Hello Tricycle. And if you have a question for us, you can use the hashtag #AskTricycle. So the question I have for you this week, Ross, is with so many clients discovering businesses through Yelp and Facebook and all other social media platforms, is it still important to have a good website? Like, what's the point in having a decent website if everyone's just going to your Facebook page or your Yelp reviews or
I
whatever.
guess the thought of having a website at all, right?
Right. Like,
That
I mean,
kind of
everybody's just searching, everybody just searches and goes to the Facebook page and like,
Mhm.
how good does your website need to be? And can it
Sure.
just redirect to your social media?
Sure. This is a good question. Particularly in light of some stuff that's happened in the past week from recording this episode. So were you affected? Affected is a word I'll guess loosely use by a Facebook outage, Facebook and Instagram outage in the past week.
I don't think so. I feel like I remember maybe trying to load something and it wasn't loading, and I just assumed it was my, my internet connection and just stopped. Yeah, I didn't know until after it had happened that it
Got
had
it.
happened.
So yeah, there was a major Facebook and Instagram outage. I believe at this time it was last week. I mean it. Posts didn't go. The platforms didn't load. I mean, major.
How do you know how long this outage lasted?
It was like an entire day.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if it was during work, I wasn't on. I'm working.
Right. Wink.
And by working,
Winky
I mean
face.
watching
Totally.
YouTube videos, which was not down.
He would not do that. Well, for work, it's what I have to be on. And it was the day for me where I had all this Instagram stuff. Like I was like, ooh, I'm going to be productive today. And I was not productive because of the outage. But Facebook took a pretty big hit because, they tout themselves to shareholders and stockholders as a major technology company, and to have an outage for an entire day from what they just called us, like, I believe they had said it was just a server migration, is a pretty big deal. Now, that gets us back to the question. Do I need to have a website? Or does a business need to have a website? The short answer is absolutely. And the reason being is, again, I bring up this Facebook outage and the Instagram outages. These are not platforms that small businesses, entrepreneurs own. You lease space according to their rules on Facebook and Instagram, on any other social platform for the most part, but let's stay pretty focused on Facebook, Instagram, and even by extension, Twitter,
Sure.
Right? And even YouTube, for that matter. We've seen that from the topics we've discussed in the past about conspiracy theory videos. If you're a conspiracy theory person and you have a channel on there, you're going to take a big hit. You're playing, on their playground. And so I think this is as good a time as any for people and small business owners and entrepreneurs to think about what are the kind of marketing assets, the marketing things that I own. You can own a website. You can own an email list, right? The platform may change, but you can own said list, right? Of reaching out to people. And sadly, you can own a customer list. I mean, the list is kind of small, but it's very important for people to understand that you absolutely should still have a website, because it's the place where you can tell your entire story and present everything about your company the way you want to do it. Versus Facebook, we spend a lot of time with our clients Facebook marketing, but it's its own unique way of telling your story. It's the Facebook ecosphere. Same with Twitter. Same with same with video. You can combine all these things on a website. So I still think it's incredible. And where we're at right now, I would also say there's not a reason why you shouldn't. With the very simple and easy tools that are out there for people to make websites. Squarespace, Wix, GoDaddy has one. I mean, every single hosting company has one of these things. They may not be the best website, but you can at least have it and start there, right? And work on it. I mean, I launched this company 2 years ago. My site has probably been through 4 or 5 different updates. I mean, it happens,
Plus,
and that's okay.
I suppose it's just it's a bonehead move. Somebody, if you don't have a website, it just seems like if you don't have that, how can you have anything else? It does seem like the most basic sort of thing to have as a business owner. I mean, yeah, whether it's good or not. But I guess my question is, how good does the website need to be?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's where it gets tricky, right? Because I guess if the question is, should I have a terrible website or no website at all?
Right.
Ugh. I'm hard pressed to kind of answer that. I mean, I would. I suppose, as long as it's not like offensive and mean or something.
Sure.
Then
I would hope
unless
that's what you're going for.
I mean, unless that's your thing, which is fine. I mean, I think I'd be pressed to say it's better to have something rather than, I don't know, man. I almost feel like that's a hard question. I don't know how to answer that, to be honest with you. But I guess my answer to that would be there are tools that exist that if this is a concern for you, it is more easily remedied now than ever.
Let me ask you this. See if this metaphor works for you.
Oof. Okay.
Is a website like showing up to a website is like the outfit that you're wearing. That is the clothes you're wearing. And if somebody goes to your website, that is like they are meeting you for the first time, not through Facebook, not through whatever. They're seeing you as who you are. Are you wearing a tuxedo? You wearing some board shorts and sandals? You gotta. I mean, if they show up to your website, you got a killer website. They're going to be impressed no matter what you do. You're going to look like you've got your stuff together.
Yep.
But they show up and it's just, some text and you still somehow have an animated GIF that says under construction. Then yeah, maybe they're like, oh, well, I don't know that I can trust them to walk my dog.
But I guess part of that
whatever
is
your thing is.
Am I hiring them for? I mean, obviously this is hard, right, for me because I want to fix that. That's why Tricycle exists, to help people that are in this situation.
Yeah.
But I guess part of me is like, well, I'm not hiring this person to make my website. So for instance, like a good example would be like an exterminator, right? Sure. You search for an exterminator, and probably an exterminator, let's just say they, through maybe just dumb luck or Google My Business, they're really good at that. They get a lot of reviews, whatever. You click on them and you go to their site, and the only thing on their site is like their phone number, right? And the under construction GIF that you spoke of, the ever popular.
Sure.
I don't know if it matters in that case. Like I think for a lot of, but this is where I think, let me put it this way. I don't know if it necessarily matters. I don't know if it is a deal breaker, but I feel like it could be, you could convert better if you did have a good site. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Like, no, it may not be a deal breaker, but it might be.
But
if you make a good site, you have a better chance, I think, of getting them to call, email, whatever, work with you.
Right. The guy showed up for the interview. He's got a tie on. Maybe it's not a, full Windsor knot, but he got a tie on and he made the
yes. It might be a fish tie, but he's got a tie.
It could be a clip on.
It doesn't matter. You
made the effort, you tried, and that goes a long way.
But getting back to the original question, I think there are a number of different ways that small businesses are found, are discovered, but it's kind of, it's sporadic, right? What the experience is on Yelp could be different than the experience on Facebook, right? the idea would be with the website is getting back earlier to kind of like, it's like the DNA, right? The what you put into designing a website, what you're saying, how you say it, who you're talking to, all of these things go into the website and then push outward. That's really where I actually spend a lot of my time with our clients, is to say, what are all these things? What is your, who are you? Who are your customers? What are the problems? How are you solving the problems? What's your voice? Like what is all this? And all that goes into a website. And then by having that knowledge, you can push it out to all those other channels, And so I think there's still a tremendous value in having a website, but we do live in an era now where it's not your only option,
right?
Which I think is a good thing. So that was a really good question. I liked it a lot. So good job crowdsourcing that, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find that? I got some reports about some people awkwardly asking around in men's rooms about marketing questions. Is that where you sourced it from?
That could have been me. It depends on what side of town that was on. But yeah, that might be me.
Okay, well, we would prefer not to do that anymore. So if you have a question, as Chris mentioned, we are at Hello Tricycle on every platform. You can also use the hashtag #AskTricycle. If you have a marketing question for us, we would love to hear it. All that information is also in the show notes, how to contact us. Our email is also in there if you'd like to email us your specific question. And yeah, love to hear from you. So good job, Chris. That was a good one.
Thanks for listening to Tripod. For show notes and bonus content, go to tricycle-creative.com/tripod. Connect with Tricycle Creative on Facebook and Instagram at Hello Tricycle. Connect with Ross at Ross Hero. Connect with Chris on Instagram at Ruthless Chris Steakhouse.